according to a scientific research, we speak 125 words per minute. And we have a brain capacity that is able to process 500 words per minute, which leaves us approximately 375 pieces of information per minute. And this we most of the time use for thinking about our agenda when we listening to the person. Let's imagine that we have a friend who thinks that he or she is in a risk of losing a job, getting fired. And when we listen to that person, sometimes we get lost in our own agenda. Like, what would I have done if I lost my job? Or, for example, if you had an experience of losing a job a few years ago, few months ago, you think about how a hard experience that was to pay your bills and look after your child and have your normal life to continue. And we get lost in our agenda, and that's really hard. It makes it really hard to listen to the person who is speaking with us. And as coaches and as mediators, we know that it is not a specific and nice way to listen to a person, and we try to listen to the person with the speaker's agenda, which means like thinking to the same colleague or friend who is in danger of losing a job, thinking about what are the circumstances this person is in, what would this person will do if he or she will really lose the job, what kind of measures should that person take in order not to lose that job? What kind of circumstances may be created if that happens? And we get ourselves into the agenda of the speaker. And it's really nice because it opens lots of cameras and lots of options to our conversation. But we can do even more. We can also listen to the onset, which sounds a little weird when first said. What is listening to the onset? As I said, we have a capacity to process 500 pieces of information per minute, but we can speak only 125 words per minute. So we have an extra capacity that we can use in a conversation, but what can we do? We can listen with the speaker's agenda, but still we have extra capacity and we can use it. So we need some area to put our capacity in, and we have that area. It's amazing to see when we listen what is being said, which means the words that the speaker used, and also why that person uses those words and sentences. This question of why creates a big window to understand the situation of the speaker, because nobody talks about anything for no reason. We always have some reasons. Imagine that our friend who is in danger of losing a job is not talking about measures or precautions or plans to not lose the job or to do if the job is lost. Instead, that person talks about the relations with his or her family. That's weird. I may think, why would you think on this issue instead of thinking about plan B, plan C? Why? Because there must be a reason. Maybe he or she thinks that losing a job may embarrass the parents, or maybe some other reason. But listening to what's said in addition to why is being said opens a big new area to really understand the message. And how to do it is really simple. Stay curious. We love to be curious as mediators and coaches because it is one of the most useful skills we have. We have troubles with judging and assuming because it's a huge habit that we have since we have, born and have a childhood and go into an adulthood until we started to practice those professions like mediation and coaching. But until then, we have a huge practice on making judgments and assumptions, and they really save our lives in lots of aspects that we will talk in a few minutes later. But it doesn't help when listening to a person and really understanding the situation of that person, the movie of that person that he's leading. So staying curious is one of our tools to listen to the unsaid, why people said that. And actually, it's really simple. We just don't interrupt and observe. Observing a person is really different than our usual skills. Observing the body language, the gestures, the tones of a person is observing the whole mediums of an emotion to reveal out. We can understand thoughts of a person only by words, because scientifically speaking, as far as I know, there are no biological tools that we have in order to understand thoughts of a person. It's impossible. But emotions, they are totally different. We understand them by the words of the speaker, by the gestures, by the body language, by the tone, and everything. The presence of the speaker tells us the emotions of the speaker. So it doesn't only require the listening, the ear part of our body, which gives us information only about words, but it requires more observation. So listening with the agenda of the speaker requires only our ear and listening skills, but listening the unsaid requires something more.